The most effective way to sell people resistance is to make sure they never notice they're buying it. In January 2026, a parenting columnist named Kathryn Jezer-Morton published a short essay in The Cut about her New Year's resolution to stop outsourcing the difficult parts of daily life to apps and algorithms. She called it Frictionmaxxing. Within 6 weeks, Forbes had repackaged it as an emotional intelligence strategy. Architectural Digest had folded it into a decorating trend called slow interiors, and Harper's Bazaar was using it to explain why Rei Kawakubo matters. A critique of speed became content at the speed of content, and nobody blinked. Because the machine that turns rebellion into product is so efficient now that the rebellion doesn't even get a full news cycle before it's wearing a price tag. The question is whether that matters, whether frictionmaxxing is the design world's most necessary provocation or its most flattering mirror. Welcome to the Threads of Culture, a show that unpacks design, branding, and the cultural forces shaping the global stage. Today, a movement built on making life harder can only exist because life got easy for the right people first. We're going to trace this idea from William Morris to Comme des Garçons, watch it get absorbed by the attention economy in real time, and ask the question its loudest advocates have been avoiding. The idea that difficulty has value is not new. William Morris built an entire movement around it in the 1880s, rejecting industrialized production in favor of handmade wallpaper, hand-bound books, furniture that took months to complete. The arts and crafts movement was a moral argument dressed as an aesthetic one. Morris believed that the factory didn't just make ugly objects, it made diminished people. Strip a craftsman of the struggle, and you strip him of meaning. Carlo Petrini made the same argument a century later when he founded Slow Food in 1986 as a direct protest against a McDonald's opening near the Spanish Steps in Rome. Punk refused to make music polished. Brutalism refused to make buildings pleasant. Every generation produces a faction that looks at the dominant system's definition of progress and says, "No, you're moving in the wrong direction." What changes is never the shape of the critique. What changes is the thing being resisted. And the thing being resisted right now is not the factory, not fast food, not corporate rock. It is the algorithmic organization of daily life itself. Anna Wiener, the former tech worker who wrote Uncanny Valley, describes Silicon Valley's animating vision as a world freed of decision-making. The unnecessary friction of human behavior, whittled down to the fastest, simplest, sleekest versions of itself, so everything could be optimized. Frictionmaxxing is the first popular term that names the refusal of that vision, which is why it matters, and which is exactly why its contradictions matter more. The perfume brand Fern is the case study everyone reaches for, and for good reason. It's a UK fragrance house that releases scents seasonally, maintains a waitlist for membership, offers no year-round availability, and makes instant checkout impossible. The inconvenience is the product. You are not buying perfume. You are buying the experience of not being able to buy perfume whenever you want. And it works. Fern has cultivated a devoted following precisely because its friction signals something the rest of the market has forgotten. Someone, somewhere, cared enough to slow down. Comme des Garçons has operated on this principle for decades. Rei Kawakubo's Dover Street market locations are intentionally disorienting. Raw, concrete retail spaces that refuse conventional merchandising logic. The clothes are asymmetric, confrontational, sometimes unwearable. The friction is not a marketing layer, it is the foundational design philosophy. But here is where the system becomes visible. Fern's waitlist is not just patience, it is scarcity economics with better typography. Comme des Garçons' difficulty is not just aesthetic defiance, it is luxury positioning through inaccessibility. The philosopher Shannon Valor coined the term moral de-skilling to describe how automating everyday decisions erodes our capacity for judgment, empathy, patience. Frictionmaxxing borrows that critique and wears it well. But the commercial applications of frictionmaxxing don't restore moral skill. They monetize the appearance of having it. A 6-month waitlist doesn't teach you patience. It teaches you that your patience has a price, and that price is the brand's margin. Jezer-Morton's original provocation was sharper than what it became. She argued that tech companies had succeeded in making life itself feel like the problem. Reading too slow, talking too awkward, thinking too hard. That is a structural critique. It identifies a system in which convenience is sold as liberation, while quietly eroding the capacities that make liberation meaningful. But what happened next is what always happens next. Forbes writer Kevin Kruse reframed frictionmaxxing as a productivity technique. Architectural Digest turned it into a decorating philosophy called slow interiors. The structural critique became a lifestyle. And this is the deepest irony embedded in the term itself, one that lives right there in the suffix. Maxing comes from internet bodybuilding and incel culture. Looks maxing, money maxing, optimization vocabularies for optimizing the self. The word frictionmaxxing carries the logic of optimization inside a concept that claims to reject optimization. You cannot maximize friction without treating friction as a metric. And the moment friction becomes a metric, it becomes something to perform, to post about, to buy. The $400 hand-poured candle with a 6-month wait list, the custom ceramic mug that takes 8 weeks, the slowly curated home that requires years of disposable income and discretionary time. Robin Heller, a Baltimore designer, told Architectural Digest that custom pieces become heirlooms, that the wait is always worth it. She is right. And she is describing a luxury that most people cannot access. Dazed magazine ran the headline that frictionmaxxing's advocates have not yet answered. Wait, whose life is frictionless? For a single mother navigating a public transit system designed without her in mind, life is already full of friction. For a person with a disability encountering a website that lacks basic accessibility features, friction is not a philosophical position. It is a barrier. UX design spent 2 decades reducing friction, not because designers lacked imagination, but because friction literally excludes people. Screen readers require simplicity. Simplified navigation serves people with cognitive disabilities. Clear visual hierarchies are not the enemy of good design. They are the infrastructure of inclusive design. Frictionmaxxing, unexamined, asks everyone to celebrate difficulty as though difficulty were evenly distributed. It is not. It never has been. Choosing inconvenience is only radical if convenience was yours to give up. And this is the tension that makes frictionmaxxing genuinely interesting rather than merely fashionable. The critique it carries is real. Algorithmic life does flatten taste, erode agency, and produce what Harper's Bazaar fashion director Chloe King called expansive and numbing sameness. The diagnosis is correct. But the prescription, so far, has been written for people who already have the healthiest lives in the room. So frictionmaxxing sits in a place that should make everyone uncomfortable. The people who dismiss it are defending a system that treats human attention as a resource to be extracted. The people who embrace it are, in most visible cases, purchasing a feeling of resistance that leaves the system entirely intact. A parenting columnist wrote an essay about putting her phone down and paying attention to the texture of daily life. Within 2 months, that impulse had a brand strategy, a decorating trend, and a Forbes byline. The speed at which a critique of speed was optimized into content is not a flaw in the discourse. It is the discourse. It is the thing frictionmaxxing was trying to name, happening to frictionmaxxing in real time. So here is what I want to know. The last thing you chose to do the slow, difficult, inconvenient way. Did you do it because it made your life richer? Or because it made you feel like the kind of person whose life is rich? Take your time with that one. I already know the answer. I just want to hear you say it. Until next time, this has been the Threads of Culture.